All right, so too many men in the world today think that the streets can be the only option for them. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who lived that life and was able to make it out. Mike Alston grew up in the heart of Philadelphia. I was surrounded by pressure and just bad things in every direction. But instead of becoming a product of that environment, he made a decision to rewrite his story. So this conversation today isn't about survival. It's about redeeming yourself and what it really takes to change your life. So if you're growing up without direction and you're lost, this episode's definitely for you. But I'm joined by Mike Alston. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for
Yeah,
having
it's
me.
great to have you on. So a lot of people, I feel like you're starting now to you're. I guess you can probably explain it better, but you're trying to help people that are lost in life, right?
Yeah, it's helping them find a way. Keep, it's like crash out nation, so it's
Yeah.
keep everybody, on that straight and narrow and have them focus and kind of zero in on what they want to do to like accomplish their goals and stuff like that.
That's awesome. So I guess tell us a little bit about you. Like, where did you? I know you grew up in Philly, right?
Yeah, grew up in Philly,
Yeah.
West Philly, all my life. Yeah, so
What's it like? I'm not from Philly. I just moved here. I want to say 3 years ago. So I guess
okay.
what's it like growing up in Philly or like West Philly specifically?
It's fun. It's fun. Just the neighborhoods, growing up around different people, different areas and everything, and just kind of always finding something to do was the thing
Yeah.
that we did, like just to have fun and like chill. So, nothing too crazy, nothing too special. It's just, it was home. So
Yeah.
you just made the best of it.
Is it still the same today as it was when you grew up, or?
It's a little bit different, like just because the era that I grew up in,
Yeah.
different shit was happening, things
Yeah.
like that. The same kind of happening today. Like I said, it's just different with, I guess, the way that the world is going in the direction
Yeah.
and everything like that.
Yeah. So what era did you grow up in? Like 90s or?
Yeah, I came up 80s, 90s, like
All
during
right.
that era, 2000s. So it was, to us like the old days.
Yeah.
Now, now everything is more, like social media
Oh
and
yeah.
you know,
Didn't have any of that back
yeah,
then.
technology.
Yeah.
We in the future now, so it's a little bit different now.
That's cool. So what did like growing up in West Philly, what like a normal day like look like for you like growing up?
Just hanging out. Like I said, just hanging with friends and just finding something to do. Whether it was literally just hanging out in the streets, playing basketball, bike riding, stuff like that. Just getting into stuff.
You don't see
Just
no
with
kids doing that
on it.
nowadays.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we kept ourselves busy and stayed into doing something. It was just always like what to do.
Yeah.
So it was always something happening.
That's cool. Yeah, I know now. Like when I go through West Philly now, I see no one outside. Like
Yeah.
nobody. There's like I feel like
Everybody
yeah,
used to be outside when I was
yeah,
coming up, like all day, rain, hail, sleet, snow. Everybody
yeah,
was always outside. So like I said, it was always something to do. You go around here, go around the corner, hang out with your folks or whatever. Somebody was always outside,
yeah.
definitely.
That's how it was when I was growing up too. I mean, I'm definitely like years apart from you, but like the first part of my life was kind of like that too, where everyone was outside. But now it's like,
Yeah,
and I think once I became like a teenager, that was starting to die off a little bit. You were starting to see less and less people, you know, be outside, which is like it's kind of bad for your mind. You know what I mean? You're
yeah,
stuck inside all day. You know, people
yeah,
now. Like I know kids growing up. Like now, it's just video games. You know, we
yeah.
we had that stuff when I was growing up. I'm sure you guys had it a little bit too.
Right,
But
yeah,
like it wasn't like a you might do that every once in a while, but it's like I want to be outside. Everyone's outside. It's that's where it's all at.
yeah.
That's cool. So what I guess like growing up like in West Philly, what was like a specific moment that pulled you like into the streets?
Just I felt myself like not having anybody like taking care of me or whatever, and I'm like coming of age like 13, 14.
Okay.
So
You were young.
yeah. So, as you thinking you a man or growing into a man, it's like you gotta do something, like mommy's not there, daddy's
Yeah.
not there, you gotta figure it out and like kind of make something happen. And because we was always outside and it was going on, it was just easy to
Yeah.
fall into that. Like at 13 or 14, like seriously, I tried getting a job, but
Really?
nobody's hiring 13 or 14-year-olds.
I'm surprised back then because I feel like back then you used to hear about that a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, like my parents and like their friends, like, oh, we were doing this at 13 or whatever. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy.
I tried doing that. It was easier to, because like I said, you just hanging out and you around it anyway.
Yeah,
Like when you a kid and you in the street and you playing curveball or basketball or football
yeah,
as a kid and just having fun too and being around it. Now it's like, all right, you getting a little bit older and now you kind of move
yeah,
over to that side
yeah. You're not
of
playing
it a little
games no
bit.
more.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I know you mentioned your parents a little bit. Were they around with you in life
Yeah,
or?
yeah. I grew up with my mom and like my grandmom. It's like I had a lot of family around. It was just at this particular point, um, people were kind of going like their separate ways. Like I grew up in a house like full of family members,
Okay.
and then families were going this way, and
Yeah.
then like grandma was kind of like the matriarch, like she moved,
Yeah.
and then stuff with my mom was happening or whatever. And like I said, you get into that age where you feeling like you're becoming you coming into manhood. It's like you
Yeah.
gotta do man shit.
Yeah.
So
So like
that
you
was
said
the
so you were like
time.
13, 14 when all this went
Yeah,
down. Okay.
yeah.
So how long would you say like you were like how long were you doing that for? Like it started at 13, 14, like was it
Yeah.
for a long time or?
And no, because like I didn't want to do it in the first place. It was one of those like you had to, like the
Yeah.
survive type of thing.
Yeah.
So I stopped at 17 and was good. And I
Okay,
was,
so it was like quick.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because going through that and everything, and like I said, it started out just like, all right, I gotta feed myself. I need
Yeah.
clothes to wear. I'm getting bigger, like that type shit. And then it was, I still went to school, so it was like, all right, at that point, it's like, all right, I want to graduate and finish school. So it was one of those like I was like, let me quit while I'm ahead. I already know the story of it could go one or the
Alright.
other way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so, I heard all of this stuff growing up. I'm touching the stove anyway, even though they telling me it's
Yeah,
hot, but I'm
right.
touching it
Yeah.
anyway, just to see how much I could take or whatever. And then I found myself at 17, and it was like, all right, let me, that goal that I set was like, let me just graduate high school, and then I'll go from there.
Yeah.
So then I like stopped. I was okay, finished high school, and then like just went from there.
So it didn't fall back or nothing. You kind of
I did kind of fall back into it a little
Okay.
bit after that. Probably like 2021 or something. I kind of got back in it.
Yeah.
Not on the same level, but still, dabbing into
Yeah.
it a little bit or whatever. Still, same circumstances of
Yeah.
surviving and everything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Which is something that you like kind of had to do.
Yeah. So like was that like just you or like were your friends too? Like I know a big thing like it makes it easier to do if your friends are kind of in that too.
Yeah, it wasn't like I knew the people. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say like it was a group of friends who
Yeah.
went down the same path.
Okay.
It was just people that I knew or might have been affiliated with who
Yeah.
it was like they kind of gave me the avenue to
Gotcha.
go that route.
Okay. But
type
not
of
like
thing.
but not like friends you grew up with, they weren't.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
kind of did their own thing with
Okay.
different people. Like they got into their stuff too
Gotcha.
and everything like that. Like a couple of my guys or whatever, we kind of went with the same route.
Okay.
Other people went in different directions
Okay.
with
All right.
different people.
So I guess like when you look at yourself back then, like what stands out the most like during that time period in your life?
Just I don't know, just trying to make it.
Yeah.
It was always you aware of the dangers, you around the surroundings,
Yeah.
but you living in the moment, you living for the moment.
Yeah.
When you're younger, you kind of feel like immortal or
You
whatever,
don't have that.
untouchable.
I feel like that fear part in your brain isn't
Yeah,
unlocked. Like
yeah.
you don't know what that is yet. You're not scared of nothing.
Because you
Yeah.
may be conscious of it, but you don't have the fear. So it was just like kind of doing it and thinking you smart about it, and I'll be smarter than these people, or I'll learn from other people's lessons and things like that. That was kind of one of the things that I attributed to me not getting into so much trouble was the people who came before me, like watching them do it and seeing
Okay.
what they did.
So you learn from
so
others'
I was,
mistakes.
Yeah, that was like my big thing, learning from other people's mistakes and not going, the same circumstances like they did.
Yeah, 'cause that's a lot of people you see Like there's like tons of examples out there. You know what I mean? Like there's like if you want like to see like which path to go down, like there's tons of examples of people do either way.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I feel like it doesn't affect them. You know what I
Right.
mean? They don't. So that's cool that you were able to at least have that conscience. Like, all right, I know what's right and wrong, and like you
Right.
kind of knew that. I feel like a lot of people they can see it, but like they don't understand like
Right.
what's really going on. I seen that happen to so many people that I grew up with too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it was like I kind of know
Right.
this isn't the right thing,
Right.
but I don't really care. You know, what I mean? I'm
Right.
just gonna go full on in, and then you know they you can't turn around once you do that.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's the message, like, we trying to get across to people now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like playing a big homie role and
Yeah.
saying, listen, this is not the way to go. You got to
Yeah.
figure it out. Let's find something that, you can apply your skills and your knowledge and everything to something else
Yeah.
that's positive and that'll work for you without going down that route.
Now, did you have someone did you have someone that would that was there that was trying to help you out at the time, like trying to help you maybe pull out, or someone that was trying to just help you out at the time?
Not in that kind of way. It was kind of like acceptable, but you always had older people saying, if I knew then what I knew now, and
Yeah.
they would give me games, stuff like that, while still doing that
Yeah.
type of stuff. It was not really anybody that's like, what can we do to get you out? It was kind of, like, listen, if you're going to be doing this,
Okay.
be cautious, be aware,
Yeah.
watch out for this, watch out for that type of thing.
So no one. So it was all on you to go straight. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, that's
yeah.
cool. I feel like I know you're saying you kind of want to be that person to help other people get out now, right? You
Yeah.
want to help people get out. So that's cool that you were able to do that by yourself. A lot of people can't do that. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
usually takes something to happen or someone
Yeah.
to make that impact to get them out of that.
Yeah, it was the determination. Like I said, I didn't want to go the route in the first place, and then I knew it could be bad.
Yeah.
But I still did it anyway, type of thing. So it's like just a cautionary tale and try to help others out.
Yeah. Now back then too, like thinking back then, like what was something that you believed back then? I know last question I asked you was like, what stood out the most to you? Like what's something that you believed back then that is like not true now?
I like literally everything that glitters ain't gold. You know what I'm saying? Like it may look good, it looks nice and everything, and it's fun at the time, but it's not the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? It's always you got a plan for the future, and not just for right now.
Yeah, and I feel like that's so many kids nowadays. I know it happens in Philly. We see it happen in Philly, but it happens all over the country in any city now. A lot of kids, because of social media and things like that, they think that that's like the cool thing to do.
Right.
Just go to run to the streets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're seeing that a lot on social media. I don't know if you follow it at all. There's a ton of things on social media with kids now. Specifically, I see it in Philly. There's a lot of kids that are just like glorifying like the street life. It's like a lot of like high school kids. You know what I mean? And they're making it seem like it's fun. Like they're making it seem like that's playing basketball.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah. That's where they're directing all of their energy to, because it's right in front of them, like right at their fingertips. And like I said, it could definitely be better. So we just gotta be aware of what's out there, and like kind of just watch yourself from getting into there, because it's always fun until it's not. Like something will happen, and then it'll hit hard for people. So it's like just being aware of it and try to do something else. You can definitely always direct that energy into something else and still have fun without it being, affecting somebody else negatively.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, like, what was I know you mentioned like high school was kind of like the thing that helped you like stay, like that was like the goal you had. Like, was there like a wake up call too along with that besides high school? Like, was there anything that where you were like, all right, this is like I gotta stop or I gotta
It was
refocus?
it was like I said, it was just having a goal, and then watching myself, and then I don't know that I had like one wake up call that like hit me and was like, you know what, you gotta stop this shit. It was like, everything was happening, everything I was seeing it all like go down. It was really, like I said, I didn't want to do it in the first place, and then I had an end game, and then it was like, all right, let me quit while I'm ahead.
Yeah.
Like because it was kind of going to that point where I could have got in like too deep.
Yeah.
But it was like, let me just quit while I'm ahead, and like I'm right there. I can kind of see the light, so let me
Yeah,
just
it's
kind of
cool.
finish this out and do what I got to do.
That's cool. Now, I guess like what was like the hardest part of like getting out of that life? Like you probably make a lot of I don't know if it would be like friends or
Yeah,
that becomes
yeah,
your family. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
like, is that like a hard part to leave behind?
It
Or
is, yeah,
yeah,
because they like that's your folks. That's who you
yeah,
around 24/7. That's what you're doing, and when you try to do something else separate that's not what they're into, you don't see like eye to eye and everything like that. I didn't have anybody try to keep me in it, or it wasn't like how gangland is like you can't get
yeah,
out. It wasn't that deep. It was just you know getting older and having a different path, and then going in a different direction
yeah,
from what somebody else was doing.
yeah,
So nobody tried to like keep me from getting out or anything like that. But at the same time, our views were different, and we had like just different points of perception of things, and
yeah.
so you're not hanging out as much, and you're not, you know,
Yeah, you
it's
kind
not the
of drift
same like
apart a little
camaraderie.
bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. I had a lot. Yeah, that's like I had that with a lot of friends because I had a lot of friends that kind of went that same path. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I was always like, like I can't do that. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
There was definitely a couple moments in my life where I was like at that crossroads where it's like, all right, if I do this, like I could, it's gonna
right,
be things are gonna be a lot different. You know what I mean? And I
right,
was kind of able to, I kind of like you. I was kind of like I had that conscience in my head, like, nah, shouldn't do
yeah,
this. You know what I mean? And now I'm not. Those are some of my best friends, and now
right,
it's not. We're still like I'm still friendly with them, but we're not
yeah,
close no more because
right,
went down different paths, and it's cool. You know what I mean?
yeah,
People got to do what they got to do. You know, at their time in life. You know what I
right,
mean? Like people have to do like they got to take care of business, but it's like you're always gonna lose friends, and that goes with anything too, not just with this stuff specifically, but
right.
like anything. Like whenever people go in opposite directions in life, it's just gonna
Yeah, you just grow
yeah
apart. Everybody like just finds their own lane, their own avenue
yeah
to go down, and that's all. And like I said, it's no ill will or anything like that towards anybody. We see each other around. It's always like, what's up, what's up,
yeah
and it's always love. It's just, just not around them as
yeah
much as it was at that point in time.
yeah exactly. Now, what would you say? There's a ton of kids out there that are going through the same thing that you went through. Like, what would you say to them? Like what would you say to them now?
Just like respect yourself,
Yeah,
respect others. Everybody wants to talk, nobody wants to listen. Everybody wants respect, but they don't give it. It's like, it's a two-way street.
yeah,
You got to give respect in order to earn it. Definitely listen, try to look at things from somebody else's perspective. Like you can have good intentions on something happening, but maybe your approach is wrong.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that could rub somebody the wrong way. You just got to understand it from somebody else's perspective.
Okay.
Try to be mutual with stuff. And if you want respect, like you gotta earn it. Like it's
Yeah.
not just gonna be given to you. You gotta give respect too.
All right, cool. So what you're trying to do now, like, is it like public speaking or being like a mentor or?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I found myself in like the past couple of years just regularly talking to people at different walks of life or whatever, and they're all saying the same thing. It was like, oh, you have mentored me, which I didn't know. I became a
Yeah,
father figure I didn't know. Like this is
yeah.
what people are
So
telling
do
me.
you have kids or?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
kids. Yeah,
Okay.
and then, I school them too. I try to drop jewels on them
Yeah.
and everything like that. I don't preach to people or anything like that, or try to just bark at people. It's just genuine conversations that you have with people. People see how I carry myself, and
Yeah.
they see my actions, and then that inspires them.
Yeah.
Or if they see that, they may see me go through a situation, they like, man, I don't know how you could have got through that. Like, that wouldn't have been me, because I have patience. I try to, like I said, figure stuff out, and you just gotta get through it.
Yeah.
I can't succumb to like the pressure of something that's like shit is hard. Like it's
Yeah.
not going to be easy.
Yeah.
So it's about like getting through it, working through it. But yeah, just people are like, they're inspired by things that I say, or
That's cool.
they see the example that I set,
Yeah.
from how I carry myself and the things that I do. So
Yeah, that's cool. So you trying to I know like podcast is like a big step for you. Come on and
yeah,
talk about this kind of some of this stuff. What's like your goals like moving forward with what you're trying to do? I know social media is a big part of it.
yeah. So
Um,
social media, because that's how you can reach
yeah,
everybody. But
yeah,
it is about talking to larger people. Like I said, being a mentor or being a coach for somebody, or being a figure that somebody can look up to. It's about reaching as many people as possible.
yeah,
So doing it broad, like across social media.
yeah. It's cool. Yeah, a lot of kids need it.
Yeah,
A lot of them need it because I just see it. Like I said earlier, like a lot of kids nowadays. I don't know if you saw too. Like I mean, it's always in the news all the time about like young kids in Philly
yeah,
specifically. Like I
yeah,
mean, it happens in every city, but like young kids specifically in Philly,
yeah,
where it's like all over the place.
yeah.
Like I said, I didn't grow up in Philly. You did. How would you say like the city has changed like since you like grew up?
Yeah, so when I was coming up, I roamed in a lot of larger groups too,
Yeah,
and we would go to different neighborhoods for different reasons, either to
yeah,
play ball, talk to girls, meet up with other guys,
yeah,
stuff like that. But it wasn't about like causing chaos or anything like that.
yeah,
It would just be a bunch of guys from the neighborhood going to another neighborhood. We would
yeah,
challenge people in football, challenge people in basketball, stuff like that. Or, if we in West Philly and we go to see like girls down North Philly or
yeah,
Southwest Philly or something like that, it would be things like that. It was never we will mob up to, just be out in the streets
yeah.
running around and, causing traffic jams and
Now,
shit
what
like
do you
that.
think caused that? Like, what do you think like caused that change to happen in the city?
Um, honestly, like I said, it's we in the future, and it's like the microwave society where everybody wants stuff instantly, and people they have all of this energy and they don't know how to direct it, so they're
Yeah,
just let's go over here and do this, and then the mob mentality when you are in a group. You tend to follow the group. So
yeah,
if one person is doing something, everybody kind of like
yeah.
follow suit instead of, you know,
Exactly. That makes sense.
yeah,
I feel like part of that too, like social media, I think amplifies everything too.
yeah,
Like
exactly,
back
yeah,
when I was growing up, and probably even more, because like when I was growing up, we started to get cell phones. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
started to come out. But like when you were growing up, they didn't have that.
Yeah, it
Probably
was like,
right.
man, we can't wait to get it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what the future like.
Yeah.
I have a phone in your
So
hand.
like
Like, yeah,
nowadays, like if you had a problem with someone, back when I was growing up, back when you were growing up, like once you went home for the night, like it's over.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's over. But now it's like it's everywhere. Like they're
yeah,
posting it on social media. If someone did something to you, that's getting posted on social
yeah.
media. It's a
And then
lot
other
more.
people beef it up,
Yeah.
type of thing,
And
and
now
kind
it's
of
like
antagonize it.
now you feel like you got to do something.
Yeah,
Because like you just got embarrassed in front of 1,000 people
yeah,
on social media.
and stuff like
Someone's-
that would happen in real life at that particular time. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't to the extent.
But once
that
you
it
go
is
home, it's
now.
over. Like
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's no like you're gonna think about it, right? But
Right,
like there's
exactly.
but there's no one like outside your window like
Yeah.
yelling at you or whatever. But on
Yeah.
social media, it's basically like
Yeah.
they're outside your window. They're talking about it all night.
And
It's like,
you
yeah,
stuck there like
Yeah.
looking at it and you reading it, and that like fuels the fire. It's,
Yeah.
because you could calm down and be left to your own devices to do whatever and kind of
Yeah.
like forget about it. Now you looking at it, so you're still thinking about the situation,
Yeah.
and now you're reading every comment that everybody is feeding into it, and that
Yeah, it's
that
just
doesn't
crazy.
help. Yeah,
These kids, I feel so bad for them that they have to, like just deal with that. You know what I mean? Like they can't be kids. They're forced. Like it's literally like elementary school then adult. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what it's kind of like now.
yeah,
They're still going to school, but it's like they're not really
yeah.
they're not being kids anymore.
Yeah,
It's like
and
a lot.
they're not developed right,
Yeah,
and that's what it is. You got to like kind of develop yourself and go through a childhood and trying to go through the adolescence and everything like that,
Yeah.
and teenage years and all
they
that
don't
stuff.
have that anymore.
No, it's all everything is adult. Like they seeing
Yeah.
everything rated R from like 3 years old.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So like it's a bunch of kids who think that they're adults or think that they're doing adult decisions, but the maturity isn't there because they're not all the way
Yeah,
developed. And,
exactly.
and that's what it's about. You gotta like develop your brain. You gotta develop your maturity level
Yeah.
and all of that.
exactly. What I guess like with like like with Philly specifically, like what do you think? Like we talked about how it has changed. Like what do you think like needs to change like moving forward? Like whether it come from like leadership in the city or people like you. Like what do you think needs to like to in order to cause like positive change? Like, what do you think needs to happen?
Yeah, a lot of people have to come together. Like I said, I'm finding like it's my time now. Like I said, being
Yeah,
that mentor, being that big homie to people. Because like I said, I was young at one point too.
yeah,
Went through the same thing universally, but it's like I said, it's different now. So now, like I have to step into that big homie role and
yeah,
kind of say like, hey, listen, this is not cute. It's not it. It's
yeah,
you can do other things. You gotta kind of focus. You gotta want more, and you gotta develop yourself. And like, how can we help? I'm
yeah,
here to listen. Like everybody want to be heard. They need somebody to listen. They need somebody to encourage them. They need somebody
yeah.
to inspire them.
And like, do you think like besides like people like you trying to like step in and be like that big homie for him, like what do you think like the mayor could do? Like, what do you think people like higher up in charge like this? Do you think there's anything they can do to help like help the
Um,
city out?
yeah, when you're talking about like politics and things like that, and appointed officials, if they can uh, allocate some of this stuff to positive programs for people
Yeah,
like to give the kids something to do.
yeah,
Like a lot of like something that is different about the neighborhood is what the blocks look like, and
yeah,
like we played in playgrounds, we played in parks, stuff like that.
yeah.
A lot of that stuff, like
It's
new
gone.
buildings is going
Yeah,
up. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So it's not the same. We had like I said, it was always something to do, and we found the area to do it. And the kids nowadays, like I said, they're on their phone on social media, and then they're in the streets,
yeah,
like literally in the middle of the street.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So if they could do something, it would be like allocating some stuff to uh, provide like areas and programs and
yeah,
whatever for kids to go or a place for them to go in.
yeah. I know what they had growing up in my area. They still have it now too, but they used to have. They probably have it here too. Like I said, I've only been here, let's say 2, 3 years now. But what we used to have growing up was it was like they were like after school programs. You know what I mean? So if you weren't in sports at the time or whatever, like after school they had a program where
Yeah,
like you were, whether it was at the school or at another facility like a church or something like that that was hosting it.
yeah,
It was like an after school program. Like all right, if you didn't have nowhere to go, like maybe your parents is busy working, whatever, you would go here, and
right,
they had like good mentors there that would like talk about God, things like that.
yeah.
They would and they would help people out. Do they have a lot of stuff like that around here or?
When I was growing up, they have the POW League, so it was like sports oriented, but it was the Police Athletic
They still
League.
have that, right?
Probably.
I think they do because I was just we were at a where was it? It was a boxing event a couple weeks ago. I
Okay.
think it was sponsored. I think I remember hearing about PAL. Yeah,
If that does still exist, maybe it's not being showcased as much as it was when I was
yeah,
growing up. But when I was coming up, that is one of the things like you always heard from. And they had like boxing, they had gyms and everything like that. They taught people how to like play basketball,
yeah.
how to play ping
Police.
pong,
So
stuff like that.
police athletic league.
Yeah, yeah.
So is it like ran by the police or?
I think it was. There would be like gyms and things like
Okay.
that. So I think they were sponsored by somebody, and then they
Okay.
would get involved, and it would it would be organized, and they would like teach people like the fundamentals of doing this and
That's cool.
teamwork and all of that.
I think programs like that, if they have more, if the city could make more programs like that,
Yeah,
like that would help out a lot.
exactly. Yeah, because people like they want to be a part of something. So if you can create something where they can showcase,
Yeah.
like their talents and everything, I
Yeah.
think it would help for them to direct, like I said, that energy into something positive,
Yeah.
or to something that they can have fun
And,
with.
and even for people like you too that want to help, I'm sure there's like a bunch of people out there that like
Yeah.
would want to volunteer, and because it takes a village to like really build people up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They always say that term. It takes a
It
village.
takes a village up.
So like I feel like I think there would be. You would hope that there would be people that would want to
Yeah,
step up and help something
I'm
like
seeing
that.
a lot of folks in Philly who are like in my age bracket who went through the same thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And now that they're older and they're looking at the children, it's like, hey, you guys are supposed to be the future. How can I help? Because we see a lot of stuff, and it's sad, it's hurtful. and we all just want better. So it's like, how can
Yeah.
we make it better? How can I help you? How can I step in and
Yeah.
help out the situation? I can reach one kid, and maybe they can reach 10 people, and 10 people reach 100, like
Yeah.
that type of thing. But I think a lot of people who are in my age bracket are feeling the same way. They want to get
Yeah.
involved and help
It's
kids
sad though.
positively.
It's sad some of the stuff you see with these
Yeah, it
kids.
is.
I saw one. I've thought about it a ton. You probably heard about it. There was that kid in Philly. He was a basketball player. Was a good student,
Yeah,
basketball
yeah,
player. He got like involved in the streets and he ended up passing away. I think he was like
yeah.
17 or something. I don't know if you saw that, but like a crazy good athlete. Like had a great future. You know what I
Right,
mean? But then got involved in the wrong stuff.
right.
And it's just crazy that that even happens. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That you can like be going to school, be playing sports,
Hmm.
and then still outside of that, like that's
Yeah.
going on.
And stuff like that has been happening like for years.
Yeah.
It may not have been magnified to the point of that particular situation. But yeah, you have people who like that's a story like as old as time. Is like I
Yeah.
heard stories about that like growing up.
Yeah.
There's always somebody who has, they're a shining bright light, but their surroundings,
Yeah.
aren't the best. And it's one of those like diamond in the rough stories where you have the potential to do X, Y, and Z, but then you get cut short because of how the streets is. Like this,
Yeah.
the streets, man, is vicious, and
Yeah.
it'll swallow you up. And like I said, you always got to pay attention, and you got to be aware, and you got to figure out like what you're going to do to
Yeah.
make it and survive and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think would be like a good roadmap for someone like that's like young in the streets, or not in the streets yet? Maybe like just young, trying to figure it out. Like, what would you say is like a good roadmap for them to follow?
Like identifying something that's fun for them, identifying like how you want to express yourself, and then like kind of honing in on that skill.
Yeah.
When it, everybody has like different talents and different ideas and things like that, and
Yeah.
if you can kind of magnify what that is, they can kind of apply the things that they learn from that to like other areas. So you might be great at basketball, and that's like one thing that you're great at, but the things that you learn while playing basketball, like the teamwork and the fundamentals
Yeah.
and the patience and passing all, you can apply to different avenues and
Yeah.
use that to learn different things, and you can be good at just
Yeah.
more than the one thing.
Yeah.
Like you have parents that or older people always tell you like, well, have a plan A or have a plan
It's
C
tough
and
to
things
do
like
that.
that. Like that's what that means, But
Yeah.
the kid is like, no, I just want to do music. Like all I want to do is music, and it's like, all right, and that's fine. Do
What's the
that.
backup
I
plan?
support you,
Yeah.
but and the backup plan is not necessarily because we don't believe in what your dream is. It's just don't be a one trick pony. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like just you got to figure it out. How many artists have you heard of like that been jerked in the industry or didn't make
Yeah.
it in the industry? Like
Yeah.
they had the God-given talent and the work ethic to be a great singer or whatever, musician
Yeah.
or whatever. But they don't know how to read contracts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they get screwed.
Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to be a musician, so I don't need to learn math or I don't need to learn, history and things like that. And it's like, it's not just about learning history. It's not just about learning math. It's about learning how to figure shit out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about, how to figure shit out. Regardless of what situation you in, you can use the same tools of figuring out this that you can figure out that.
Yeah. Now, once you graduated high school, what was like your kind of like plan A, plan B, or? what was your-
So it was, it was like the new millennium was coming. So it was like the wave of technology was
Okay.
starting and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it was getting into computers and things like that. I did music when I was younger. So
Okay.
I was like, I had a little quick stint in like making music. But I was applying it to like a lot of different things, but definitely learning like computers and programming and all of that stuff, because that was, back then it was like
Yeah.
what it's gonna be now. Like the future,
Yeah.
everything is like technology
Yeah.
and everything like that. So, so yeah, I had those different ideas and everything too, and then, and then I ended up in the restaurant industry. So
Yeah.
that was, what I'm saying? Like that wasn't the avenue that I wanted to go or that I saw, but it was something that I got into, and I
Yeah.
used the same skills of, everything else that I knew and applied it
Yeah.
in a different game, and it worked out.
That's cool. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, a lot of kids, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this podcast, my podcast in general, is just because a lot of people don't know what their options are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They don't know like what, because not college ain't for everyone. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
Exactly.
don't think people like I have a podcast about college specifically that I already made, and it's like it's not like all it's like cracked up to be. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's a lot of money and like it doesn't provide the best value.
Right.
So I think that's one thing is like a lot of kids nowadays they don't know their options, so that's
Yeah.
why they go to the streets. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
'Cause it's
yeah.
like, all right, like I have no if I'm not gonna go to college because I'm not smart enough or I don't have enough money to go to college, I have no like shot of making it.
Yeah.
But it's like there's really so many different things out there. Like you said, the restaurant industry, like no
Yeah.
one probably thinks about that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
Like,
yeah. I didn't go to school for that. I didn't
Yeah.
study for it. I didn't aspire
Yeah.
to be it, but I was successful at it.
yeah,
It was something that I got into to pass the time while I was doing other things.
yeah.
And like I said, I used the same skills that I always had and became successful at that. And that's what it
Yeah.
was.
That's awesome. Now, do you think, I guess, like, what would you say? Because a lot of people, when we talked about earlier, like when you're in the streets, like you think you're an adult, like right
Right,
away. You know
right.
what I mean? Like they do that because you think you're grown. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you got to provide for yourself, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Now that you're an actual adult, you know what I mean? Like, what does being a man, like a grown man, an adult, mean to you now compared to back then?
Yeah, so back then it was so you feel that way because you were a kid and a lot of times you like taking care of adults and,
Yeah.
and you paying bills and you feeding people
Yeah.
and everything. So you was like, well, why do I listen to you if I'm the one bringing home the bacon type of thing?
Yeah. So you were doing that when you were
So I
like,
was
young.
doing that as a young
Okay.
age, yeah, like giving money to adults, feeding adults, and
You
taking
were
care
like
of
providing
people.
as a kid.
Yeah,
Wow.
at 14, 15, 16, doing
Oh
that.
wow.
So now being older, is doing it for my family. So it's
Yeah.
the same thing, but like kind of in reverse. So, like my kids and everything like that, I try to help them develop and be
Yeah.
there for them and provide for them and show them the same thing. You
Yeah.
gotta protect them from those things, but also still make them aware of like reality.
Yeah, you can't
of how
shield
things
them.
is. Yeah, exactly.
And then once they get out in the real world, they're gonna be shell shocked.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's about teaching them, how to figure it out, how to make it, and then like inspire them. But being an adult and being a father and being a man, it's like, yeah, let me provide for you. Let me show you by example. This is like the right way to do things, and then your life is your life, your path is your path. You gotta figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. I know you touched on you did music too for a
Yeah.
while. That's something a lot of kids nowadays are getting into.
Again,
It's like
yeah,
everyone's doing
yeah,
it.
everybody is. Yeah.
So what advice maybe like for people because since you went down that path for a while, like what advice would you give to young kids that are trying to do that now?
Just keep working at it. Like I had a group. We did CDs. We performed. We did
CDs.
showcases. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we pressed CDs
Yeah.
and everything like that. Yeah, and we was shopping them and selling them, and we performed at clubs and we did showcases and stuff
that's
like
cool.
that. But we never really like connected with anybody who could do anything.
Yeah.
We didn't get like discovered because somebody who knew somebody walked down and heard us like
Yeah.
rapping on the corner and shit like that. We were like actively like trying to get signed and things like that. But what I would say to them is like just to not give up, keep doing the work, and make
Yeah.
sure that your music and your performances are touching people.
Yeah.
And with social media now,
got plenty
you
of
got plenty
opportunity.
of
Yeah.
help to showcase your talents to
Yeah.
a broader range of people.
Yeah, you see it all the time. Like, there's so many people that are. It's insane. Like how many
Yeah.
people like actually like do music and like they'll do it like on the low. Like they're not even
Yeah.
like promoting it. It's
Yeah.
like, what? I didn't know you did that.
You're right.
Like, so that's cool. Yeah, I think that there's so many different paths for people to go down, and they just don't know. You know
Right.
what I mean? They think that they only have a couple options, or it's like either make it out playing sports or go to college, or
Yeah.
like that's like your only
Yeah.
option. But there's so much out there. I guess like what would you? I guess like what's next for you, like in your journey with helping people out? Like what's on like your goal and like roadmap moving
Just
forward?
building a platform, so I can reach more people,
Yeah,
talk to more people, and try to link up with a lot of folks and like get this message out to
yeah,
to help people.
yeah.
So it's just growing the platform, yeah, and trying to reach as many people as possible.
Now, do you have like a preference for like youth or like like young adults
No,
or?
I mean it could be anybody. It can be
Yeah,
adults. It can be youth. The objective is to affect the youth, but you know if you can inspire an adult
yeah,
to
even better.
hit kids and everything like that, yeah, it's reaching out to everybody. You know, not all grown ups are adults. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So like they may need to hear it too and inspire them, and then they have to find their path and then hopefully they can help people and those people can help more people.
that's awesome.
So
Um, that's cool. Now, what do you think? What was I gonna say here? Oh yeah, but did you ever think like when you were growing up? Because I know you said you were on your own, things like that. You knew that high school was at the end of the tunnel. Was there ever like a thought in your mind that like you might not like make it out? Like you know what I mean? Is there like a thought where you I might not like this might not work out the way I have envisioned or
with school or
no, not school like you might not
like
make it
just
out of
in
the
life,
street.
yeah,
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 that was always right there.
yeah,
Like I said, you feel you live for the day, and you feel kind of immortal. Like I said, you conscious of what could happen, so
yeah,
you know your head is on a swivel. You always watching your back and you know watching how you carry yourself and the things that you do, and you know what can happen at any time. So it's you know just being aware of it. You can never be like too ready for it because it can just happen just like that in an instant.
yeah,
But a lot of it is you know, like just being aware and that feeling of just immortality. Like, no, it's not going to happen to me. Like this person, if I, you know, if I knew what that person knew, like they wouldn't have caught me like that and everything. Like
yeah,
it doesn't happen like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, it can happen at an instant while you least expect it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it was on the forefront, but it was like, you know what? Let me get through the day. Tomorrow's another day.
yeah,
I'll figure it out. If it happens, then so be it. You know, like that's kind of the thought process a little bit. And then, you know, like those days go by, and then when you look back, it's like, man, I should have did it different. Like if I knew
yeah,
I would have made it to this, I would have did it differently back then,
yeah,
type of thing. But you don't know that until you go through life and you experience different stuff. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like you can watch somebody else go through something and then judge it and then pick it
yeah.
apart how you could have did better and things like that. You know, like if I was Michael Jordan, I wouldn't have left those 2 years
Yeah,
and everything like that. Like
yeah.
what? Like come on,
Would have stayed and
like
got another ring or something like
yeah, like he
that.
got 6 of them jaws.
Yeah,
Like you know what I'm saying? And you don't even play in the NBA, so you could talk all the shit
yeah,
you want, but it's you know you got to go through your own shit
yeah.
and figure it out.
Now, was there anyone growing up that like I know you mentioned that you had people like kind of looking out for you, like, hey, like don't do it this way, whatever. Was there like people that were like that like negative on you or like telling you like you like instead of like trying to help you out, like we're kind of like negative towards you, like kind of against what you were doing and
Yeah.
like telling you you're gonna end up somewhere or
Yeah, that was everybody. Yeah.
yeah,
Everybody. Yeah. Even people in the game, they would say that. Like, listen, and they would be doing the same thing.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And so you would be around them and they'd be like, yo, don't do what I do. And then you turn around and watch them do the shit that they telling you
like a
not to do.
hypocrite, yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
and that's what it is, like the hypocrisy. So it's like, all right, if they doing it, I know I can do it better than this person or
yeah,
whatever. Or, you know, and especially when you old and you looking at, or when you young and you looking at older people, it's like you look at them, it's like wash. So it's like, man, you don't know, old head. You don't know what you're talking about. Like that's
yeah,
how the newer generation always is, you know, regardless of what time what time period society is in, it's always a newer generation that
yeah, it
comes
never
along
changed, yeah,
and, you know, they evolve it or they do something else, you know, and then when they get older, it's gonna be a new person coming
yeah,
behind them and say like, "Yo, bro, you wash. You don't know what you're talking about. we doing this out here, and like I said, that's the mentality, when
Yeah.
you're younger, and you gotta, like I said, you gotta figure it out, and you don't understand it or appreciate it as much until
Yeah.
like you live it and you go
Yeah.
through those experiences.
Now, how do you think with kids having that mentality of like you're washed, you don't know what you're talking about? Like, how do
Yeah.
you think you can make an impact on kids? I feel like kids. I think the generation now is more disrespectful in that sense
Yeah.
than whenever you were growing up, or even when I was growing up too. I think my generation, I saw a lot of people that were disrespectful to people that were trying to look out for them. You know what I mean? Probably your generation was probably a lot more respectful than mine was. You know what I mean? We just
Yeah.
didn't have that. We were starting to fall out of that kind of respect your elders type of thing.
Yeah.
And now there's no respect towards elders. I feel like
Yeah.
it's like very like if you see like a young kid that's like nice and respectful now, it's like whoa, like
Yeah,
who like.
yeah.
Yeah, so how do you think you can make an impact on kids that have that mentality now, where they're like, I don't need to listen to anyone, just go and crash out. You know what I mean? Like, how do you think you can
You gotta find
impact
a
them?
way to reach them. You gotta hit home for them.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, there was a certain level of respect, but when we were younger and we saw older people, it still was like, oh, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
come on. That was in the olden days. It's not happening like that now.
Yeah.
But what I tell kids is it's actually the same exact shit that's happening. It's just more evolved. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like in general, you know what I'm saying? So while we were kids and we were wilding out in the streets, kids is wilding out in the streets now, but it just wasn't the same. Still doing
Yeah.
the same exact thing. It's just different on a different scale. But it's more about, and then you would have the old heads that would like try to relate to you, like, oh, I know where you from, and because I was raised there and I made it out, and it was like, yo, that was like the corniest shit you could have said. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
how it was. So now, being an older person and basically saying the same thing, it's like, yo, I know where you at because I came from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I can survive, and so can you. But it's like, I'm trying to deliver it different. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I'm literally saying the same thing that people were saying to me when I was 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Like, I know where you from because I used to grow up there, and it's just like, whatever, clown. You know what I'm saying? You sound corny as shit right now.
Yeah.
But you gotta relate to them and show them that you do understand. Like you gotta like drive the message home. Like I do actually get it. Like if you listen, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You don't think it can happen to you, fine. What are you gonna do about it to make it not happen? Like don't just talk about it. Like you gotta be about it too. And then kids can kind of like see through that, like the fakeness of it. It's like, no, you saying it and you trying to make it sound good, but it's like whatever. Like you gotta show me something. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you can kind of prove it to them. You just gotta show them.
Yeah, show them. Now there's and like I said, this stuff happens in every city. You know what I mean? We go from Philly, we go to Baltimore, same thing's happening. We go to Chicago, same thing's happening. There's also people that don't live in these cities that are kind of glorifying that lifestyle.
Yeah.
What do you say to people that are doing that? It's like they have no means to even talk about it, but like it's like starting to spread now like everywhere. You know what I mean? Where it's like everyone's trying to, like, young kids now are trying to make where they live be like that. You know, it's happening. Like, a lot of that's happening too. Like they want their area to be tough or whatever. You know, and what do you say to people like that? It's like that's not like a good way to.
It's not. No, it's so for them, it's entertainment to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they're like kind of inspired by it, and because they don't live it, they want to kind of like act it out. But it's like if you knew how serious it is, like it's not anything really to play with. You know what I'm saying? There's like a lot of territories and neighborhoods where it's like, listen, if you're not from here, don't even walk down this block. Don't come through here because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And people see that and they like, oh, it's people see it as like entertainment and everything, but it's like, no, to some people, like that's super real.
Yeah.
So for the people who see it and they want to act it out because they're entertained by it, it's just like, you kind of got to watch what you're doing because you could offend somebody or rub somebody the wrong way who is going through that, and it's not a game
And
to
they
them.
don't play.
It's not fun. So it's not something to be played with. So you do gotta kind of, because it can be like offensive or disrespectful to people depending on You know what I'm saying? So, uh, it's not fun. Nobody should want to be that way or
Yeah.
live that way. But I understand it can be entertaining to some people, and
Yeah.
they,
They see it
it's the
everywhere. They
yeah, they
see it
see it
in
exactly.
music, on whatever, right? There's even
Yeah,
people now where it's like it's on YouTube. Like you go on YouTube and you're seeing people like just vlogging
yeah,
their life in the streets. And so,
yeah,
so people see that and they're like, it's not that bad. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like, no,
yeah.
you really don't know.
You
Like,
really don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, you got
Now,
to
one
be
thing
on there.
with the youth nowadays too that I see, and I don't know if this was like this when you grew up, but like the drug use that is like it's like starting to spread around the youth a lot.
Mm.
They're saying like there's like a lot of youth in Philly. I'm seeing it on social media that are like getting like fentanyl and things like that.
Yeah.
How do you think that probably wasn't happening when you were growing up? Maybe a little bit, but like not
No.
not like
I
now.
came up when it was during like the crack era
Okay.
and like cocaine and all that, and that wasn't cool. Smoking weed was cool, but
Yeah.
also and like smoking cigarettes and drinking and all
And
that.
that's how it was when I grew up too. Like smoking weed was cool.
Yeah,
Like you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
everyone was fine with that. But now I'm seeing they got these things now. Like they I can't remember what they call it in the city now, but it's weed laced with fentanyl. And
yeah,
like kids
yeah,
are like fiending for it and like going
yeah,
for it. It's crazy like how many kids in the city now are on drugs. Not even like that, but like pills and things like that.
yeah,
Like it's like
yeah,
a big thing now in the city.
yeah.
Which is crazy. I don't know how that happened.
It just blew up,
Yeah.
and it got to a point where whatever people were doing, like it just evolved. Something new
Yeah.
came out,
Yeah.
and then it hit on. Some people are peer pressured to do it, and then you
Yeah.
get addicted. Like you get addicted to it, and then like that's it.
Yeah.
Like when people were smoking crack, it was a new drug that came out. It was like, oh, let me try it. And it's like, oh, I'm high as shit. This is a crazy.
Yeah.
And then you do it again.
So that came out when
and
you
then
were growing
get
up.
yeah. That was like I grew up in that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when I was coming up, it already existed, and you walk around and you would see crackheads and be like, oh, you a crackhead, you a crackhead,
Yeah.
like what is this and everything like that. And it wasn't cool as a kid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But before it spread as deep as it did, it was somebody trying a new drug and then getting addicted to it because that's
Yeah.
what addiction is, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it fucked you up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It didn't do the same thing that cocaine did or that weed did or even like
Yeah.
smoking a cigarette or something like that.
Yeah, it's way
Like it
worse.
turns you into something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a zombie. Like yeah. it's
Yeah,
bad.
for real.
Now I guess like going off of that, what type of not like even drug related, but just like making your life better, like what like habits or like disciplines did you have that helped you like rebuild your life? You know, I know you always had like that light at the end of the tunnel, but like what
Yeah.
like habits did you have to put yourself into to make yourself better?
It was constantly wanting more for myself and then like trying to do something about it.
Yeah.
Like whatever my circumstances were or my situation was, it was like if I didn't like it, how am I going to get out of it? How am I going to do something about it?
Yeah.
And then, and that's just like self-preservation or like self-worth, whatever you want to call it. But it was just me wanting more. Yes, I'm growing up in this environment. I love this environment. This is my home.
Mm-hmm.
But I want my situation to be better. What am I going to do about it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to give you anything. You gotta go out and get it. And that was just always like the mentality and the drive, you know what I'm saying, to just want more and to do more and understand that you gotta go out there and take it. Like as a man, it's like nobody going to hand you nothing. I don't
Yeah.
even want you to hand me anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna figure
Got
it
that
out.
pride.
Yeah. I'm going to go out there and get it. Like you got it. I see you got something. It's like I'm not going to hate on you. I can admire it and everything like that. I want that for myself. What am I going to do to go and get it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's the mentality and like having a drive to want something and doing something about it.
Yeah. Now, I would say, was there other people when you were like getting out? Was there like other people that you were with, like kind of on like that journey to improve yourself? Was there like other people that you were kind of like working with? Like, I know you had a crew for like music.
Yeah.
Like, was that like the crew that you were kind of rolling with, like to improve yourself, or?
A little bit, yeah. Cause these guys were friends of mine for like just for that.
Yeah.
And then like a couple family members and everything. They wasn't into the same stuff that I was doing like out in the streets. So it was yeah, kind of straddling the fence to kind
Yeah.
of do both, but not really anybody pulling me in one direction or
Yeah.
another. It was just like, how can I get over it? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm over here, I'm on the fence now of which way I'm trying to go. I'm
Yeah.
trying to go this way. Um, and like I said, I didn't really have anybody pulling me either way,
Yeah.
for real.
Okay.
Like now that I think about it, yeah, it wasn't like that. I didn't have anybody saying like, "Oh no, you shouldn't do that, man. Fuck that. Ain't nothing going to happen over there." And I also didn't have anybody like, "Yo, that's not for you. You want to leave that alone." Like it wasn't,
Yeah.
either way. It was just, I could have succumbed to the same shit. It's just
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that it didn't. But so I kind of like just found my crease and
Yeah.
got in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like a big part is like who you like just being around the right crowd.
Yeah.
Like it matters a ton. Like they always say like that one phrase. I don't remember how it's exactly quoted, but it's like with like the millionaires. You know what I mean? If you're around like 10 millionaires, like you'll be the next one or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And I feel like a lot of people don't realize like how impactful that is. Like who you hang around. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like especially when you're young. You
Right.
know, like because a lot of people get roped into they maybe it is the right crowd when they start hanging out with them. And then
Right.
stuff starts to happen and
Right.
then that peer pressure of like, all right, well they're all doing it, like I gotta do it too.
Yeah.
And that's one thing in my life that like a lot of people that I grew up with, I'm not cool with anymore. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just because like I was able to see like all right, like they're not going the way that I envisioned myself going.
Right.
And it's just crazy to see some people. Like, I think you gotta have, like you mentioned it earlier. You gotta have like respect for yourself. Like,
Right.
you gotta like understand like if you want more, like you're gonna have to lose friends
Yeah.
to get what you want in life.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. How do you stay grounded now? Like nowadays though, just in life. Like how do you like keep yourself like moving forward and keep wanting more for yourself and like not you're not what's the word they say you're not like satisfied. Like how do you stay grounded and keep pushing forward?
Just staying hungry, staying like devoted into doing something and setting goals. So like what do you want? Or you want this, you gotta do X, Y, and Z to get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it was also I grew up during a time where it was like, it was preached like, hard work will pay off, hard work will pay off.
Yeah.
So I kind of like have that mentality of just doing something to get something, doing something to get something.
Yeah.
Even if it sounds like selfish or whatever, it's like, you got to do what you got to do. Like nobody's
Yeah.
going to give you anything. So it's all out there. If you want something, you got to like just work to get it, period.
Yeah.
So having that hunger and then having that discipline and everything to see like what it is that you want, make it like a realistic goal and everything like that, and just setting your sights on it and then applying.
That's cool. Now, what do you think? I think one thing that helps the city, that does help the city out a lot too, is like the Eagles.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like winning the Super Bowl this
Yeah.
year. Like, do you think that makes a big positive impact on like the kids in the city, like seeing stuff
Yeah,
like that?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you look up to, everybody looks up to winners. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm Philly in and out, and I'm a diehard for all my Philly sports teams, and I root for them even when they lose, and they've
Yeah.
been losing and losing and
Like
everything.
the Sixers.
Yeah, man, like all of them. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. So when they win, you got the Phillies in 08 and twice now in recent years with the Eagles. Like that inspires people. So you see people working hard and it's
Yeah.
paying off. You seeing them
Yeah.
win. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that inspires people to
Yeah.
try
You
to
think
do
that
the
has,
same
like,
thing.
Think that has like a big impact on the kids in the city?
Yeah,
and, like,
definitely,
yeah.
because these are like the role models. It's
Yeah.
the role models, that they're looking up to. It's like, oh, they are doing this positive. They're a celebrity. They're on TV.
Yeah.
They're not living on the same circumstances that I'm living in, and it's like that's what I want, and that's what I
Like
want to achieve
like
to be.
Saquon Barkley's from Philly, right?
I don't know if he's from Philly, but I know he has a lot of Philly ties with, like, I think the high school he went to, and then
Okay.
going to Penn State and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's like from Philadelphia,
Like from
but I think
Philadelphia.
he's from the area
Yeah.
of like in
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
All right. I know who is it? Someone got drafted from Philly, like
Yeah,
from Philly. It was just in the draft. I
yeah,
can't remember who it was, but like people like that, like that's a good role model to have. I mean, even though they're not around the kids like day to day, you know what I
yeah,
mean? But like, it's like, yo, like if you do everything, like if you like stay positive and stay going like the correct course, like you could end up there. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Or maybe not as successful as being like a first round draft pick in the NFL, but
Right.
like you're gonna make something good out of
Yeah,
yourself. You
I'm
know?
blanking on the guy's name too, but I'm
I know
almost
who it is.
positive he
I
got
think
drafted
he's
to the Bears.
like I think D lineman, like defensive
Yeah,
lineman.
I'm
I think
picturing
so.
them because they are actually, showing them love and,
Yeah,
and praising them. So
yeah.
I'm blanking on his name because I keep thinking of the guy that the Eagles just drafted, and that's the name keep popping up in my head. But I
Nah,
think
he
he got
wasn't drafted
drafted
by
to
the
the
Eagles. Yeah,
no, he
he
got drafted by the Chicago
was it
Bears.
by the Bears.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was just
I'm just blanking on his name right
yeah.
now.
But I remember they were talking on the broadcast about him, and he had all of his family there and stuff like
Yeah,
that, and it was cool, just to see like how many people like came out for him and supported
yeah,
him. He had like a good support system growing up too, and it's just like just seeing like all right, cool. Like he obviously did something different than
right.
a lot of people in Philly, and it's about having like a support system
Yep.
to be around. But then there's even like what do you say about the kids that have a support system? Like there's still kids that have support systems. They have people there for them, and
Right.
they still fall down they still fall down the wrong path. Like what do you think is like the solution for those kids?
Yeah,
That
I've seen that too.
yeah
It's the pressures of the surroundings and the pressures of the streets and everything. Like
yeah
I've seen people who maybe had both parents in the
yeah
household, and they've been like middle class. It wasn't nothing like rich, but their circumstances were better than
like they
a
have
lot of
food
people's. Yeah, yeah, they
yeah
didn't have to go through that.
clothes all that stuff. It was
But
all fine.
then they're hanging in the streets and they're hanging with the guys, and then they
Yeah.
succumb to the same
Why do you think that
thing.
happens? Like is it
I think it's a little bit of peer pressure,
yeah
and then also being entertained by it. And
yeah
it's like, all right, well, this is what I know because I'm kind of growing up in it. These are the guys that I'm hanging around,
yeah
like doing this, and now I'm about to go down this avenue, and it's the same people. So I think and then they'll go and take it to a different level of it. But I've seen a couple of guys who came from those type of households and
yeah.
everything like that, and still got in the streets
So even that
and were
doesn't
like crazy.
even being like a good parent, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
doesn't guarantee that your kid will
no,
be okay.
yeah, not at all.
As a parent, since you are a parent, like what advice would you give to other parents that are trying to help their kids avoid that life? You know what I mean? That want to give their kids the best
Yeah,
and the best chances of of being successful. Like what would you recommend?
keep doing the work that they're doing with their kids. Pay
Yeah,
more attention to what their kids are doing,
yeah,
and just listen to them. You know what I'm saying? Like they need somebody to listen to. They need somebody to hug them. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And they need somebody to tell them that they're worth more than doing that.
yeah,
Not saying that these parents aren't doing it, but for the most part, the guys that I know who are doing this, their parents like they like work and they're working
yeah,
to provide for them and everything like that.
yeah,
So the people who they're hanging around and that are in the streets and everything, that's who they're listening to. You know what I'm saying? And that's who they're following. So like what the parents are, they're trying, but they're working. So they're like they may neglect them at listening or being like overly involved in
yeah,
what they're happening and everything, especially when they're growing and coming of age and
yeah,
things like that. Because if you find somebody like at the right time, and the right level of like immaturity or whatever, you can make a person go to a whole different lane that they weren't
yeah,
even thinking about just because, they were lost for whatever reason and
yeah.
looking for something, and they found it, but just not in the they found it not in the right place.
Yeah. Now, we talked a lot about social media. As a parent, how do you think like a parent can help their kid avoid like the dangers of social media and like what that can cause?
Just educating them and then showing them examples of how it can go wrong
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah, because and again, you gotta kind of magnify their mistakes too. Like
Yeah.
everybody doesn't want to hear the mistakes they made. Like, listen, you did that and you fucked it up. They don't want to hear it that way.
Yeah.
You
No
gotta
one's there when they
kind of
do
show
wrong.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, listen, when this happened, Like you did that, so like let's own up to it. You saw what happened when that happened. You gotta do something different if you don't
Yeah.
want it to happen again. You know what I'm saying? Like don't
Yeah.
fall for the same mistake twice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You learned your lesson. You're supposed to learn from it, and then
Okay.
this is how you get better.
All right. Cool. That's awesome. I guess like last things here, like wrapping up. I guess like really like what's like next for you, like short term, like future, like with trying to help out with and be a role model. Like what's like next in like your immediate future with that?
I got a couple people who are like, they need mentorship and or life coaching or something like that, and so I'm going to be working with these people to help
That's
inspire
awesome.
them. They already have like goals set and they have like plans that they want to work on, and I'm just going to be there as like a mentor or like an inspiration to help them get it,
That's cool.
give them advice,
Yeah.
help them situationally, things like that. It's basically just kind of steering them into the positive direction that they want to go. Because
That's cool.
they just need a little push. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
need like a
Like
little
that type
hand
of,
there to
yeah,
help guide
yeah.
them along.
Little
Yeah,
support, John. Yeah.
that's cool. So that's what you're doing like right now. Yeah,
Right.
that's
Yep.
awesome. We'll link all your social media and stuff on there. That way, hopefully people will find this. And I guess like 5, 10 years from now, like what are like your big thoughts like with this, like what you want to do?
I'm hoping to just hit a lot of people, go to different places and just talk to large groups of people, and just spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. And then for the people who are going to be taking it seriously and is going to hit for them, just working with those people to help them kind
Yeah.
of find their path in life
And that'll
and go
cause
the
like a chain
direction
reaction too. 'Cause
Exactly.
Once they get through it and
Yep.
they figure things out, then they're gonna want to do the same.
Yeah, yeah.
You never forget about those people that like I know for me, like I always think of like different like coaches I had growing up. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and they help out, and like when you're young, you think like, ah man. Like kind of like what you said before, like what are they talking about?
Right, right.
But then they really do make an impact on you, and they help you.
Yeah.
And you never forget about them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then once you're that age or become that age, you want to do the same thing for other people. So like once you make that impact on people, like it's gonna, what's that one thing that one phrase like you're like paying it forward.
Yeah,
to
paying it
everyone.
forward. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So that's like that's probably what will happen.
Yeah,
It'll be like a
that's
good
that's
chain
what I'm
reaction.
hoping for. Like teachers are always like, I got a class of however many people.
Yeah.
If I can just reach this one kid,
Yeah.
like I succeeded. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's kind of that mentality. Just trying to reach out to as many people as I can, and for the people who are ready to hear it and ready to go for it and everything, it'll hit for them. And then others maybe it'll hit a little bit later in life, but hopefully it'll resonate with them to where they'll carry it.
Yeah.
And then when they're ready for it, it was like, oh shit, I can, you know what I'm saying? I heard this way back in the day, and now that I went through a little something, now I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't ready then for whatever reason, but
Yeah.
now I'm ready. Let
Yeah.
me get my shit together.
All right,
type of
cool.
thing.
Awesome. All right, so to close us out here, what's like your biggest like gem that you can drop on someone right now? There's like a young kid listening to this right now, struggling. They need to hear something. What's like the biggest thing, maybe quote or advice that you would give them to help see it through?
Yeah, just don't give up. Don't succumb to peer pressure, and just always want more. Just have like that tunnel vision of, whatever goals you set, just you got to keep like working on it. You know what I'm saying? Like don't give up. Want more for yourself, but don't succumb to peer pressure. And don't buckle and fold under pressure. Like there's gonna be obstacles and everything that you go through, and you want it to be easy, but life is not easy. It's hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just because you might get knocked down, you can always get back up, and what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. So and that's what it is. Like when you go through life, you go through these scars and you go through these trials and tribulations and everything. But then when the smoke clears, it's like you still standing.
Yeah.
So that should be like the mentality. You know what I'm saying? Stuff is going to hurt. Stuff is not going to make sense. But the journey is the journey, and once you finish it and you can look back, you'll be proud of where you came from to where you are if you achieved your goal. So just never give up. Don't buckle and fold under the pressure, and don't follow what other people are doing just because they're doing it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, Mike, really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Everyone go follow Mike on social media. I think what he's doing is really impactful. It's gonna make a huge difference on people moving forward. So we're gonna blow his social media up. Hopefully we get a lot of people because a lot of people need to hear what he's talking about, and there's a lot of people that are lost nowadays. So this will be really helpful for everyone, Mike. So really appreciate you're being the first guest on this podcast. I think it's really special, and what you're doing is going to make a huge impact. So I just want to thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.